Hello, this is Colleen with Designs of Value Online Art School, and this is my series, One Small Thing, and we're going to talk about watercolor paper today. First item I have here for show and tell, basically, is my Canson board. Now this is nice. I pick it up right at Hobby Lobby. It's $4.69, and this is, man, I'm so blind. I need to grab my magnifying glass so I can see. It's 22 by 30. Yes, it's exactly what it is. But it's a board, and it is a watercolor board. So it holds water as you, this is a great practice purpose for this. I think I might have showed you in one of my classes that I was doing some practice with apples. There we go. And that was on one of my boards, and I was practicing backgrounds on the rest of the board. So that's one item that I do recommend. I absolutely love that. The surface is more or less in between a cold press and a hot press, so it's smoother than the normal cold press. Now this is another practice item that I use. It's called Be Inspired Watercolor Artist Studio Pad. This one is 140 pound, so was the board, and it's an inexpensive, I think I spent $10 on this. It's got 50 sheets. It is such a good practice pad. It's unbelievable. And then when I'm done practicing, I cut them up, and then I have sheets that I can try the watercolor out on and hold it up to the photograph or the live item that I'm trying to match. And these work out really, really well. So that's called Be Inspired. It's not something I would do an entire project on. It's just not that good a quality paper. Now this is Arches. This one happens to be hot pressed. I got them on sale, so I got 3 packages here. Hot press is not a surface I personally care for on a regular basis. If I'm going to be doing a see-through white design of a flower, an iris or something like that, that I want the petals to be very smooth and see-through, I will use the hot press. So that works out really well. This one happens to be pads. Does come in blocks as well. This one is a pad, and it's the 140 pound. And so was the other one, 140 pound. They do both come in 300 pounds, so you wouldn't have to stretch them or anything. This one is the cold press, and I'm an oil painter as well as a watercolor painter, and when I first started in oils, we would paint on boards. Never was much of a canvas painter, it was always boards, and we would do an acrylic background, and we would use a brush, sponge I should say, and we would sponge on the acrylic like this on the background, and it would give you what is called a eggshell finish. So it gives you some tooth, and that's what the cold press paper has, is a little bit of tooth. The hot press is your smoothest, and then you've got your cold press, and then there's even a rough, which I'll be honest with you, I've got a sketchbook that's a rough surface, and I have never used it. I guess if I were a landscape artist and wanted a little bit of texture to my backgrounds, that type of thing, then the rough would work out well. Now this is the block, Arches 140 pound cold press block. What I like about the blocks is the sides are all glued. You do not have to stretch them before you start to paint on them. Arch is nice because they do take a little bit of scrubbing if you need to remove a spillage or whatever the case may be. So it has a little bit of tooth to it, plus it's a little bit tougher than some of the others. Now that Be Inspired that I use for practice is unbelievably tough. It'll take a lot of scrubbing. But you want to be careful with that. You don't want to go crazy in scrubbing because it will damage your paper. So you always want to be cautious. But those are the types of, and then of course you've got all your different sketchbooks, watercolor sketchbooks that you can actually do water in and that type of thing. But these are the ones that I use for the botanical type of painting that I do. If you want to see me do a background where I'm using a lot of water, I did do it on a block. It was an Arches 140 pound block, and that is my yellow or gold daylily that has a green background, and it's really, really stunning, but it had a lot of water to it, and the paper took it very well. So those are the ones that I recommend. I do like the Arches. I've tried other ones. This one, I always keep coming back to the Arches. It seems to work the best for me and the style of painting that I do. And again, as I said, I like the cold press. I like a little bit of a tooth. The boards are nice for practicing on. They don't react exactly the same way that the paper does, but enough that you can practice on it and see how it's going to look the way you want it. Alrighty, well that's one small thing for watercolors, and that's our paper. Be sure and check me out on Patreon. I do have some lovely designs on there, and we'll see you again.